Since the beginning of time, parents have felt a moral obligation to instill good manners and behavior into their children, and sometimes, with the help of certain authors, bizarre and often downright scary tales emerged.
What?
One such author was a German psychiatrist named Heinrich Hoffmann. Published in 1845, Der Struwwelpeter, or Shock-Headed Peter, or Shaggy Peter, told the story of odd and awful fates that befell children who misbehaved. None is stranger than the tale of poor Conrad, also known as Suck-a-Thumb. One day Mama said, "Conrad dear, I must go out and leave you here. But mind now, Conrad, what I say. Don't suck your thumb while I'm away. The great tall tailor always comes to little boys that suck their thumbs, and ere they dream what he's about, he takes great sharp scissors out and cuts their thumbs clean off, and then, you know, they never grow again." When Conrad sucks his thumb again, he is visited by the tailor, who chases the boy with a giant pair of scissors and cuts off both his thumbs. Perhaps this was an effective teaching tool for Victorian parents. By 1876, over 100 different editions had been printed. This story is another Hoffmann specialty. Taken from the book Slovenly Betsy, it was published first in 1911, specifically for American audiences, where a mother cautions her daughter not to cry so much, but the girl doesn't listen, and eventually she cries her eyes out. And now the poor creature is cautiously crawling and feeling her way all around. And now from their sockets her eyeballs are falling. See, there they are, down on the ground. My children, from such an example take warning, and happily live while you may, and say to yourselves when you rise in the morning, "I'll try to be cheerful today." And that's not the only horrifying tale in Slovenly Betsy. Proud Phoebe Ann holds her head up so high that her neck stretches freakishly, and she has to cart her noggin around on a wagon. Another author writes about Rebecca, who slammed doors for fun and perished miserably. These cautionary tales for children were designed for the admonition of children between the ages of 8 and 14 years. It's full of stories that should give naughty children pause. Rebecca, she wrote, was not really bad at heart, but only rude and wild. She was an aggravating child. One day, to frighten her uncle, Rebecca slammed a door that had a marble bust above it. The bust fell and laid her out. Her funeral sermon showed the dreadful end of one who goes and slams the door for fun. And then there's Jim, who ran away from his nurse and was eaten by a lion. Then there was Matilda, who told lies and was burned to death. Or Henry King, who chewed bits of string and was early cut off in dreadful agonies. So, some parents today may oppose these tales or prefer a more sanitized version. But I see nothing wrong with telling a kid that if they have poor hygiene, they may end up looking like the freak love child of Lita Ford and Sammy Hagar, as illustrated here.
What?
The best cautionary tale of consequence happened to me when I was a toddler. My mother specifically told me not to touch the stove burner when it was orange. I curiously asked why. Instead of advising me to try it and see because you'll be sorry, she actually did fill me in on some details. She told me because my hand would get burned, hurt really bad, and fill up with a bunch of nasty watery blisters. It sounded so intriguing I had to try it. Though she was right, I believe it took my own experience to really believe it. Because even when we're grown, there remains a tendency to never learn from others' mistakes as well as our very own. So even as adults sometimes, we need cautionary tales.
Yeah, while we're here,
And let
it's easy
this
to
be
fall off track.
yours.
These help us remember.